Right, let's bring in James Morrow, host of the US Report. James, not just because you host the US Report, I know you are deeply connected to your old country, the United States, and you've watched this all unfold like we have today across Sky and other outlets. I mean, what does this say now about the state of political discourse in the US?
Well, it says nothing good, Peta, and it's really disturbing and depressing that this has happened. I mean, I woke to the news this morning, as so many people did here in Australia, and it was just an absolute punch in the gut. Have we come to this point now? And, I have been warning about the escalation of political violence coming from the left, specifically from the left, not just violence, but the lionization of violence. A real turning point I think we had was the Luigi Mangione alleged killing of that healthcare CEO, Brian Thompson, last year. And he became a folk hero. He's still a folk hero on the left because he took out a CEO. One of the bad guys, a healthcare CEO, and they made him a pinup boy, a poster boy, and all of that. We've seen so many other bits of violence from the left. We've seen this going on for years. The Antifa movement, Black Lives Matter. The left has a big, big violence problem, and it all comes down to something you were talking about a moment ago. This idea that for the left, the right's not just wrong, they're evil. We just think they're wrong. Sometimes they're idiots, but they're not evil. Generally, some of them are, but they aren't evil, by their own nature. If this is where we are now, this is a very dark place for America. I don't think we've been in a place like this, probably not since 1968.
Yeah, I think it has the hallmarks of the 60s and the civil rights movement. What about those comments today that aired on MSNBC? Political consultant Matthew Dowd, he made these comments shortly after the shooting. Have a listen.
We don't know any of the full details of this. We don't know if this was a supporter shooting their gun off in celebration, or so we have no idea about this. But following up on what was just said, he's been one of the most divisive, especially divisive younger figures in this, who is constantly sort of pushing this sort of hate speech or sort of aimed at certain groups. And I always go back to hateful thoughts lead to hateful words, which then lead to hateful actions.
It's victim blaming in the extreme. He's since been fired, but what do you make of that sentiment?
Well, it's the crazy thing is I have spent all day going through Twitter, going through, or X now, going through what people have been saying. And this guy was not alone. I mean, what he said there, of course, is appalling. Well, Charlie Kirk said bad things, so bad things happened to him. I mean, that's a total misunderstanding of what Charlie Kirk was all about. Charlie Kirk's slogan was change my mind. His whole thing was about reaching out to the other side and learning and going back and forth and Socratic dialogue. He was the furthest thing from a hate monger you could get. So it's a defamatory slur on his name, but also it's not uncommon. At the American ABC, similar comments were made, all sorts of other comments being made. Also just that whole thing slurring his supporters as if, they're firing off guns in celebrations like they're guests at a Yemeni wedding or something like that. Like this is just what Republicans do. They walk around with their guns and shoot them in the air. That's nuts. It's sick.
We saw that happen, though, after the attempted assassination of Donald Trump during the campaign. There are all these conspiracy theories about was he actually shot? Was the Band-Aid real? How long did he have to sort of repair his ear, plastic surgery and all this sort of rubbish. And then even in Australia today, you get the Chaser out there. They've got a headline that says, "Are you okay?" It's "Are you okay day in Australia?" And they say, "Day not going well at turning point." I mean, this stuff is unbelievable.
Well, it's totally believable from the, late middle-aged chaser boys now who are all clearly seeking some relevance. It's stupid, it's juvenile, it's not funny. You can take a funny joke, it's not funny, but there's so much delight. And you see this here, so many left-wing websites, delight that this guy got killed. I've seen videos of people on TikTok today, cheering the death. People doing videos themselves driving around their neighborhood, yelling out the window at people, "Charlie Kirk got shot!" Like it's a wonderful thing. This is sick. This is, they talk about the right as the party of hate and the party of, violence and all of this. Well, look in the mirror, guys. This is just wrong.
I just hope it creates hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of more Charlie Kirks, that the kids that have been moved by him on campuses over his decade-long advocacy now use this as a reason to spur their engagement in the public domain. Just before we go, I mean, are we going to see now the end of conservative political events and rallies? Is that going to be the upshot after what happened to Trump and now obviously the death of Charlie Kirk? Is that the result?
Look, I really hope not. And I would also say I think conservatives are made of sterner stuff than that. And there's a message that has to get out and people want to hear it. And, there will probably be more security sometimes, but ultimately life goes on. And so does the message, and so does what Charlie Kirk was all about.
Right. Thank you. Thank you, James.